Just finished cleaning up the tank. We got it down to bare metal. It's actually in remarkably good condition. I'm thrilled. I was really worried about some of the scale over here and rust jacking on the seam, but we seem to be okay. See what I did there? So I'm gonna wipe it down. Got some bug and tar remover, gonna clean it up. And she's getting a coat of gloss black rust paint, top and bottom. And then when it sets up, we'll give it a scratch and we'll give it another coat for good measure. Thick coat of paint applied. Yes, there's run lines. That means we've got enough on there. If you don't have run lines, you don't have enough paint. Also, we've put a second coat on the truck frame, which I'll show you in a moment. But next, I have to take all of these and grind every one of these right about here. And every low spot has a spot weld. And I have to grind them all off and pull the steel off of there so that they look like this one here. And then I gotta clean them up and paint them just like I have the tank there. So that's the next job. So here's the truck frame. This is the second heavy coat. Obviously I can't get right in there, but we'll fill that with oil when we're done. Everything has got 2 coats of extremely thick rust paint. And it looks pretty good now, but it's gonna fade and chip and all that junk. Hopefully it'll protect the frame for a while longer. This is probably excessive. I mean, it definitely is excessive, but we went there. So the whole thing's painted. Looks pretty good. We're at the visualization stage here. I'm just kind of laying things out to see how they're going to go. Obviously the fenders won't sit on the tires. They'll be up. I'll probably cut them and weld them to a boxed frame. I got some square tubing. I'm going to weld 2x2. It'll come out to about there. Go from there. First we'll go right across to that other cross member there, like that one that bolts to there. So we'll weld that on. We'll do a full weld all the way around. And then I'll put these ones in place. And there's a couple ones here that just sit on the frame. They got rubber pads. We'll figure out exactly where those go. I think they're right here across. And I think there was one here. Pretty sure. And then I'm going to build in a boxed section here. And I'm going to cut out the outside here for the tire. Then I'm going to take the fender. I'll figure out where it's going to sit, so that these edges here contact the inside of our new like wheel well section. And then I'll tack weld them on and I'll cut these guys off. And that'll be our wheel wells. And then it's just a matter of filling in the rest and putting wood on the top. For the back here, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to reuse that tailgate I have and just weld it to the frame I'm going to build here. And that way it'll say Toyota. Maybe I can find a better tailgate in the future to replace the crappy one, but I'll just stick that one on there in the meantime. We're also going to have a steel frame. Comes up just proud of the cab here like this, with a couple of horns on either side so we can lay stuff up on the back over the cab and not do what the previous owner did with his ladder and destroy the cab. Because if I'm going to replace this one, I definitely don't want to be smacking wood and steel and stuff on the back of the new cab. So that's the plan for that. For the bumper, this bumper here came off of an 80... What year was that? I think it was an 82. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was an 82 because mine's an 83. It's the banana yellow 82 that I have in the back. That's where this bumper came from, because the one that was on here literally fell off. So I put this one on, but when I did that, I flipped it around. So it goes on like this. I'll show you. the way I have it set up is it bolts on to the back of the truck and sits like that. I flipped this around because it didn't clear the other way. They had modified the other truck for it to fit. But now that we don't have the original box, I can flip this around again so that that's on the bottom where it should be. And then we're going to mount our license plate holder on the bumper. And I've got the license plate lights over here. And they still work. So we're going to reuse these. Both of them. We're also going to reuse these. I got another lens. Unfortunately, I don't have another holder, but it is what it is. Maybe I'll get one later. And we're just going to take these guys. I'm trying to remember. I think it was this way. Yeah, so this one is the passenger side. And I'm just going to stick them in, make a little thing under the box, and they're going to sit in like that. I might spin them around so that they're like this, so that our signal light is on the outside and our brake light is in the middle. I think that should work pretty good. And these will be just above the bumper. They're probably not going to be right on the frame like this because I want to break the box out, so they'll probably be right about here. We've got the original bolt holders in the back here. So I'll probably make just a little frame that these things just attach to like that, with a plate on the back to protect them from rocks flying off of the tires. And I think it should work pretty good. It's starting to come together. It's Sunday morning right now, and I was hoping to get this thing with at least a sheet of plywood on it so I can take it to work, and my boss said I could use the supplies there to work on it, but it's just not going to happen. There's still too much to do at the house here before I can put this thing on the road, which really bums me out. I miss driving it. So we're probably going to be at least another week into this. But I'm pretty happy with the way things turned out. Tank looks great. I'm going to pick up some new hose today. Oh, yeah, and the other thing is I'm going to put there's going to be a bracket here, so you get our channel right flush with this here, right across. Actually, it might not be flush. Maybe we'll bring it up a little bit so that it's flush with the wood. It'll go across, and we got our filler neck here. Now, everything's in really good shape, and I don't want to modify this any more than I have to. So this is going to go right underneath, and I'm going to fabricate a piece to hold that in position, and I'll make some 1/8 sheet, or maybe 16 gauge sheet cover that'll cover all that up so that nothing bangs on it. And we're just going to leave it the way it is because it works. The rubbers aren't cracked. They're actually in fantastic condition, and that's probably because they are diesel fuel oil and not gasoline, so they haven't dried out and cracked, which is a bonus. Although those are, I think they're still available. They're the same as the gas pickup truck. But the other thing that's kind of nice is somebody at some point replaced all of these lines with rubber. Originally they were rubber to steel, and I'll show you under here how that works. So they would go, check this out by the way. You didn't see that, don't worry about it. So they would go to these steel lines here, and the steel lines would run through this shield here, up over the drive shaft onto the driver's side, and then up to the front. Now that's great, but we all know how good Toyota steel is, so obviously they were chasing air in the system at some point, or a fuel leak, and just opted to replace it all with rubber. And they did it right, which is nice. They've got the protective canvas here. They got good fuel lines. They routed it really well. They use good quality zip ties. So we don't have to worry about any of that. I'm just going to get some more of this 1/4 inch fuel line and a couple of barbed connectors, and we're just going to reconnect the existing lines because the hoses are still in really good shape. That'll save us some time not having to reroute all that stuff. I don't know why there's 3. So one would be fuel, one would be return. I have no idea what the third one is. Maybe a vent or something? I'm not sure. I'm guessing a vent. But I didn't really try to figure out where it went. So, that's the plan. I guess the weather is not really looking like it's going to cooperate here, so I'm probably going to have to pack up pretty quick. It's starting to rain. Yeah, so next time it's going to be probably a video of the deck being put together, so stay tuned for that. Man, the weather has turned really sour here really quickly, and I'm just going to start the truck and then I'm going to call this a day. I've got this hooked all up. I forgot to pick up clamps, and I thought I had some, but they're not the right size. So that's just going to be what it is. And we're dropping stuff on the ground here. But that's hooked up. I just bled the fuel system over here. I just took it off at the filter and ran it till we had clear fuel coming out. We're gonna fire this thing up here. Should just fire up, hopefully. I don't think there's any air in the system further than that point. But let's give it some glow. I don't know what the batteries are doing. I did a lot of cranking on it earlier this year and I haven't charged them. So let's see what it does. Pull this out. Okay. Come on, baby. There we go. It was missing for a minute there. Still is a little bit. There we go. Now we'll just let it run, and if there is just a little bit of air in there, hopefully it'll work its way through. But I think we're good. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I didn't anticipate that with I should have, but I had a downspout on that. You can see it down there. And it curved down and went underneath the rear end. Well, without a box on here, everything's sitting a lot higher, and that was hanging up on there, and I couldn't get the rubber dampeners on the exhaust. So I had to cut that pipe off, and I'm gonna have to make a sharper dip. That was just recycled off of, I don't even know what that was off of, maybe a Honda or something. It was part of a bend in the exhaust system. That's a Civic muffler on there. Are we leaking? No, that's not diesel exhaust, it's just warming up. Yeah, that's good. Sounds good, it's running good. See if our fuel gauge got an accurate reading. I took a lot out of the tank, so it shouldn't be too much. I'm gonna say that that's probably right. You know, I wouldn't do any of this if this truck didn't run so damn well. It's unbelievable. I can't really explain in words why I like this truck so much. I just can't. I can't put it into words. It's small, it doesn't haul a lot, it hauls enough, but it's cheap, and it's so incredibly reliable. It's just unbelievable. Never, ever, 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 ever misses a beat, except for one time, quite a long time ago, last year. I had to catch a flight, and I stopped over at my grandma's place, because it was on the way to the airport. Stopped in for a short visit, and there was a fusible link down here, and it gave up the ghost. And at the time, I didn't even know it was there. Then it just wouldn't start. I could crawl under there and bang on the starter, nothing was working. It wasn't clicking, wasn't doing nothing. So I just got a ride to the airport, and there it sat. And then the weirdest thing, I got back a week later, went there and thought I'd just try it. I had all my tools with me, and it just fired up. It was the weirdest thing. But I did figure out what it was. There was the fusible link was just cooked. It was all green and fuzzy and crap. And yeah, so that was kind of a sidetrack story. But yeah, I love this truck, and it runs great. Ooh, eye candy. Alright, I'm gonna let this thing run up to temperature, and then I'm gonna shut it off, and I'm gonna call it a day because I'm getting soaked. I am just drenched right through here. Alright, next part for sure, this section here is getting done. I better make this quick because the fumes are making me high as a kite. I just got finished painting all these parts. I started this at 11:30 and it's 5:45. I ground all these things down, sandblasted them. We are bare metal. They're all perfect except for one. I'll show you right here. This is the one that is between the at the very front, between the cab and the box would have been. So I guess, you know, all that crap building up in the corners there rotted these out. Not a big deal. I'll cut that out and weld it up. But we're pretty good for paint. There's a couple of light spots. I'm gonna touch those up in a minute here. But the rest of them are just dripping with paint. It's a mess in here. I'm sorry. I've got like 9 different things on the go. Gotta fix that. Sorting all this junk. It's nuts in here. But these are all of these have one thin coat of Rust-Oleum brushed on them, or just rust paint, not really Rust-Oleum, just rust paint. And then coated with Krylon, or whatever other blacks I've had kicking around. And my chickens are going nuts for some reason. I don't know if you guys can hear that. They're freaking the hell out. Maybe I should go check to see what's going on there, but these are done. Got a fire and stove. We're gonna cook these tonight, and hopefully tomorrow when I get home I can lay them out on the truck. I'll bolt these ones in. Got some galvanized fasteners I'm gonna use, and we'll throw the bumper on, zip tie the lights on it. I put the plates on the truck today. Well, I mean, I paid the insurance anyways. They're not actually on the truck yet. We're gonna drive this thing in the next couple of days here. Come hell or high water, that thing's going on the road. I'm tired of driving my Honda. I miss this truck. So anyways, these are painted up. We'll catch you guys in a little bit, and I'll be the installation process. Today is the deadline to get this thing at least drivable. Not finished, but drivable. It's Friday morning, 10-ish a.m. I've already been to the hardware store, picked up the bolts for the bumper. I picked up some liquid electrical tape because we're going to be doing a jumper. For whatever reason, I don't have a nighttime driving light on this side. I didn't have a brake light either, but that turned out to be a burnt filament. The nighttime driving light, however, is something else. It's a bad connection somewhere in the loom. I'm not going to peel it back. It works on this side. So we're going to tap into, I'm going to double check. I believe it's that pin right there, the green with the red stripe. Pretty sure that's our nighttime driving lights. Got to double check that though. I don't want to be splicing the wrong wire. And we're just going to run it. I'm going to cut it here. I'm going to put a new spade connector with 2 wires coming out of the back. I'm going to back feed it through the loom and then splice it into that plug down there. And that's going to fix our issue. I know it will because it has to. And I already checked the ground. That's all been cleaned and silicone, and we got good ground there. This side's working, so we know we got a good circuit. This side's good, this side's not. Don't know why, but we'll do a workaround. It's not the right way to do it, but it's the way I'm going to do it. So, going to do that now, and then when that's done, I got to salvage the license plate holder with the 2 license plate light mounts. And then we're going to put a sheet of plywood on here. We're going to mount the fenders. We're going to figure out how to hold the fuel filler neck up so that it's supported. We're going to zip tie the lights to the bumper. I got to drill out a couple of holes here, right here. This one's not big enough. I don't know why these are drilled different sizes. I didn't do it, but somebody did anyways. Yeah, let's get to it. More progress has been made. Lights are working now. I had a piece of fur, I think it's 5/8, kicking around. that I scrapped from some building at some point. So I didn't feel bad about cutting that off. I got screws and I got ratchet straps, so the plywood should stay on there real good. I notched this for the fuel filler neck. We're just gonna probably put a clamp here, but I'm not really sure exactly how I'm gonna do that yet. I don't want that banging around because that rubber's old and it'll probably crack. The fenders are on, good enough. I've just got them attached to some 2x3 under there for 2x3 with some roofing screws. Don't want to put too much work into this. It's all going to come off in the next week or so. And the bumper's on. I had to grind in here because the weld was hitting the mount, because before I had it flipped the other way, so it was on the bottom. I had more clearance. I got these attached. They're not going anywhere, but just in case, I got them attached down here as well and up under there, so that if they fall, they're not going to drag on the road. Yes, lots of progress. Got to do the hose clamps on the splices for the fuel tank next. We're back in the yard, and fenders are now on top. You can see where we were rubbing there. That's not so bad. I've got the license plate lights hooked up, and we're good to go. So you can see the fenders are a little bit this way, but they're so high up, it's not going to matter anyways. Plus, it's not staying like that for more than a few days. But it spins the tires real easy, which is funny because this thing is gutless as hell. But I guess there's just no weight in the back anymore. But runs like a top, drives straight. Gonna need some new skins on the good rims I have. I've got the proper center caps. Focus, there you go. And yeah, so that's not too bad. Pretty happy. I got a volunteer event cleaning up the local community hall tomorrow, so we're gonna take Pope along and give him more exercise. But in the meantime, I'm done for today, and we'll see more tomorrow. We're an hour west of my place, right smack between Enderby, BC, and Kamloops, British Columbia, and he is performing flawlessly. Been driving him for about an hour and a bit. No issues whatsoever. All the lights are working, so my electrical repairs are working good. Very happy. We're on our way to Kamloops to pick up 4 new tires on rims for the truck. I was going to buy some brand new ones for this little project, but somebody posted 4 on rims. Really good shape. They're studded, so I'll have to pull the studs. But $120. So we're on our way to go pick those up. Got about another 45 minutes of driving. That temperature gauge doesn't read right, by the way, just in case you notice that. We're going to say something in the comments. It's faulty. We're going to get back on the road here. I just stopped at the bank. Had to make a deposit. Let's go see what those tires look like. We just pulled over here on this corner. I was about to merge onto the highway, the Vernon-Banff highway here from Kamloops. Head east, and there was a strap. And it matches my straps. So now it's my strap. The sun's getting low now. It's around 8 o'clock, I think. Check that right now. Yep, 8:05. I'm just leaving Kamloops. Got about an hour and a half drive home, hour and 45, depending on how the truck feels on that hill ahead there. Yeah, I got a pretty good deal. The tires are in really good shape. They're basically new as far as I'm concerned. We'll pull the studs out of them. This one's got overspray on it. Painting or something, I don't know. Kind of weird, but it doesn't really matter. So we're gonna head home now. There's some other YouTubers local to Kamloops here. Maybe if I remember, I'll put a link to their channel in the description. You should really check them out. They do some pretty interesting stuff. Anyways, let's get out of here. Whew. It just hit 8 o'clock, and I just finished welding up everything fully. I'm getting a little better at this welding thing. It's hard because this is a much thicker steel than this. These pieces are about half the thickness. So I finally figured out about halfway through that if I start on the thinner piece and push towards the thicker metal, it doesn't blow through because I'm putting too much heat into the thinner steel. So anyways, apart from that, it's looking pretty good. I'm fairly happy with my welds. I think they're gonna hold. I don't know, you tell me. I'm not a welder. There was a couple places that I kind of think maybe I went a little overboard. That's a really shit weld right there, but like the corner areas here, we're gonna have a lot of, I don't know, I figured that they're gonna get more contact with things, maybe get bumped into. I beefed those welds up a little bit. They're a heavier steel, so I figured why not. I flipped it over. This is actually the bottom. It's all welded now. I'm really happy with this. Tomorrow I'll cut these portions out and flip it over again, and then I'm going to weld up the ends so that it's all sealed. And then I think I'm going to put some angle iron pieces, probably 3. So I'll do 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and I'll do the same everywhere all the way down, just so I have more surface area to weld the 16 gauge or whatever I decided to sheet this in to. I did some rough math, and I think the sheet metal is going to add about 134 pounds to this whole thing, which isn't too bad. We're getting really close now, I think, to, with that, we'll be getting really close to, I think, what the original box would have weighed. Plus, I still have to do the headache rack, and I've got to put it pockets on the other side so that I can put sides, and then I've got to do a tailgate. I don't know how fancy I'm going to get with that. I think I'm just going to do a couple of pins and a basic frame with some plywood, and I just drop the pins in to keep it in place. But apart from my crappy welds, I think it's going to hold pretty good. I can still pick it up myself. That test fit, I just grabbed it there and hoisted it up and dropped it, walked up on the pickup truck and put it on there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. So I guess, yeah, I think the next portion of the video will be the last time we take the plywood off of the truck. The next time that I put this on there, it's going to be permanent, so I'm going to have to prep it for paint. I'm still not sure exactly what process. I think I might paint this whole thing and then put the sheet metal on. I might do the spray-on galvanizing where the sheet metal is going to lay over, or maybe I'll use seam sealer. I really don't want any rust jacking between the sheet metal and this stuff, so I'm going to clean it up. I think, yeah, probably seam sealer is going to be the way to do it. I'll stitch it, stitch weld everywhere, and then seam seal the whole thing just to keep the rust out. I'm so done with rust, and I'm working with rusty metal, right? Because that was the cheapest thing you can buy is rusty metal, because nobody wants it. It's a pain in the ass. So yeah, onwards. Just finished laying the last beads, cleaning it up. I did a lot of pulse welding, but I did eventually zone in on a good setting. We were at 20 volts and 125 on the wire feed speed, and once I did that, I was getting some pretty nice bead, laying nice and flat, not going to require too much cleanup except there. finally figured out what was causing that. The fan from the ESAB here blowing on my work surface. Put a piece of wood there and good to go after that. It's blowing my gas away. But yeah, looking pretty good. Gotta flip it over, put a couple of tacks on the bottom because right now put a little too much heat into it. So I'll have to tack that down so that when I'm going down the road on the washboard, it's not going bong, 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 bong all the damn time. And then there's the headache rack, but we can do that later. The bad news is, last Sunday, so what would that be? 10 days ago now, my truck blew up. The truck I'm putting this deck on. I've either blown a head gasket into the oil gallery or I've cracked an oil ring because I was going down the highway doing about 85 kilometers an hour and the engine ran away on me. I was able to stall it out with the clutch and pull over and have a look. And once it cooled off, I fired it back up with the crankcase breather off of the intake and it was puking oil, which it definitely was not doing last time I cleaned the engine. So that's a no-go. Can't find parts to fix it, but I did find another truck with another engine, so this project is not dead yet. We'll see about what happens next. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I think I can weld now. There is some sealing the fan above me here. I keep blowing my gas away. But without it, it's getting real smoky in here, so we're just dealing with it. I'm pretty happy with most of it. We ain't building nuclear reactors here, so I think this is good enough. It's on. It's not coming off again. This is it. Turned out pretty damn well, I think. Pretty affordable project, unlike the two full 4x8 sheets of 16 gauge that I use on the bottom and to make the fenders, and I've actually got quite a bit left over. I'm around $275, and then for fasteners about 30 bucks. The rest of it is all scrap. Didn't pay anything for it. And then there was about 100 bucks for the paint and $500,000 worth of time. But I'm not billing myself, so I guess we'll just write that off as zero. Looks pretty good. I really like how it looks. Hell of a lot better than that sheet of plywood I had sitting on there. I'm really happy with this. I was able to reuse the original fuel door and neck and everything. It's a little tight. Bend that back. Looks pretty sharp. I'm very happy. Just gotta wait for it to get dirty so it matches the rest of the truck. And it's on there. It is one with the truck. It's not going anywhere. But now this end of the truck needs attention. Yesterday I was driving it and the alternator went and the engine's hooped and all sorts of other stuff, so found myself a 2.4. This is a 2.2. I actually found myself two 2.4 engines. One is a naturally aspirated, it's a runner. It's got a good engine, good transmission, and a good rear end. Rear end's starting to growl. Transmission's got way too much lash in it, so does the rear end. Combined, like it's almost unbearable to drive. And the engine's very, very, very tired. So all three of those things are going to get changed. It's going to be like a new truck. Once we get the cab built, it will be a new truck and it'll be ready for another 40 years of service, hopefully. But I think that concludes this video. It started out pretty simple and I vastly underestimated the how long it was going to take to do it. I figured a month. And when did I start it? February? And it's January 8th now. So, yeah. Took a little longer than I thought. But I'm pretty happy. Turned out well. There's a couple of small details I got to take care of. I got to figure out a better taillight mounting system. I I kind of prototyped something. I'll show it to you. But I don't really like the way it looks. So I never attached it. But I cut these plates out, and I was gonna weld them on the back here. But I don't really know. These would just bolt onto these, and I would order a new set of these on eBay. You can get, I think, about 48 bucks each with shipping. And I want to convert the front to round headlights, and I have some of the stuff to do that. I just need the one bezel and the backing, or the headlight cups, and I'm good to go. So stay tuned. We'll do some more at a later date, but I think for the next couple of months, this is all she's going to see for work. Thanks for watching, and stay safe. We'll see you in the next one.